Yeah, 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 yeah. Bronx on the scene, nose to the ground, reads every scratch, every step, every sound. Dust on the boot, mud on the cuff, one wrong move and he calls you bluff. He found a lie in the turn of a face, found a fresh print in an empty place. Tail up high when the story won't blend, he don't bark loud, he just gets close. Damn, sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, 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 chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, 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 corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. Hey, hey. Idaho nights cold, over the floor, 4 names heavy in the whole town sore. Bronx in the weeds where the silence stayed, digging for proof in the tracks it made. He found the gap in the masked up tail, found the bent clue in the buried trail. Bone white truth in the folder stack, one clean scent in the case swings back. Sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, 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 chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, 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 corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. One paw print, one torn thread, one false alibi, falls dead. BronxTails, 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 corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose.
Hello. That cracks me up every time that intro screws up, and it's almost like it glitches out and then it's got to catch up with itself. And I knew it was bound to happen soon because we've had 2 really good ones that didn't mess up the last 2 times, and it just makes me crack up. I don't know why. I think it's hilarious. Like blah, 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 blah. So funny. Happy Monday, everybody. How are you guys? Good to see you. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. It is insanely hot here. It is 95 degrees, but it's a gross, sloppy, wet, yucky, moist 95 degrees. You don't want to be in it. That's for sure. Yuck. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello. Hey, Ash. Good to see you. And Jen, Sparkly. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. Michelle, Donna, JB, Crime Junkie. Hi, Tara. Let's see. Hey, Exotic. Hey, One Take. 47. Liz. Did I say hi to Nutmeg? I think I did. Pixie. Hello, hello. Welcome. Hello, Mikey. Curriculum. All right, guys. I think we're going to have a fairly long episode today, so we will just get right into it. I have heard, holy cow, I've heard other people go through documents, and I'm like, wait, stop. You missed something. Like, how did you jump over that? I'm sure I do it too, and things are more important to me in certain areas than others and vice versa and stuff. But I've heard some stuff lately and other people going through these documents because there is good stuff in almost every single one of these documents, if not every single one of these documents. It's pretty wild, some of the stuff that we've been hearing. Oh, my Lord. Holy macaroni. So we're going to get into it. I want to go over the first thing I want to do is talk about some of the Turvey stuff because he has said a few things in his expertise that I find really, really interesting. So everything's alleged in our opinion only. Let me share. We'll do this one. I'm so curious when everybody's done going through all of these. I'm curious, like, which one each one of you guys think was the big boom, because there's a couple of booms in here, guys. Let me see if I can make it bigger. I think this one will probably be good. All right. So this is the defendant's supplemental response. Okay. I don't want to just sit here and read at you, so but I think we're going to kind of have to in a sense. Okay. So the purpose of this for Dr. Turvey to make this report is to provide a forensic assessment relating to the examination of the victims. Specifically, it says Brent Turvey was asked to conduct a crime scene analysis of this stabbing incident. He was asked to do this by Ann Taylor. And in the process of examining and interpreting the specific features of a crime, related crime scenes, and relevant information, it requires consideration of the complete forensic investigation to include context, forensic victimology, yada, yada, yada. Everything crime related. Everything crime related. So he assessed everything. And the materials that he went over were related security camera videos and enhancements from the area of 1122 King Road. I would have loved to know why he put in the same sentence related security videos and enhancements. What does that mean? What does he mean by enhancements? Is he saying the videos that he got were enhanced, or is there something else that was an enhancement in the area? I'm not sure. I would have loved to know exactly what he means right there. He's going to go over the 911 call made by Bethany, related law enforcement affidavits, warrants, reports, related law enforcement photos, body cam video, related forensic investigation examination, criminalistic reports and photos, autopsy reports for all 4 victims, autopsy photos for all 4 victims, cell phone extractions, and related law enforcement witness interviews. This list is not entirely all encompassing, but it's most of the stuff that he used. He said additionally, he traveled to Moscow and examined physical evidence in police custody at the police department. There were witnesses there. It also included examination of various knives collected during the law enforcement investigation and the K-bar knife sheath mentioned later in this report. So all those knives that I've been doing FOIAs for, he examined them as well. Now, I don't know. I haven't read this, so I don't know if he says, like, there's a knife in there and I think it fits. We shall see, I suppose. So he puts in here Eric Warner's supplemental narrative, which we've heard over and over and over a million times. It's the on 11/13/22 at approximately noon, I arrived at that one. He says it's a 3-story rental house, King Road. The home, it was a home to Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, and Xana Kernodle's boyfriend, Ethan. They were dating and he was sleeping over. It was also home to Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, neither of whom were reportedly approached or harmed during this incident. The homicides are reported to have occurred on the 13th of November, 2022, in the early hours of the morning, just after 4 a.m., if you believe that narrative. Okay. He says, here are the investigative and forensic issues. The following investigative red flags are evident in this case, and they require further investigative attention and resolution. A, at the crime scene security physical evidence, as explained in the NIJ protocols for crime scene investigation and death investigation, establishing an evidentiary chain of custody is essential for the preservation of evidence integrity. Evidence integrity is demonstrated by following the rules and protocols, basic rules and protocols that are associated with establishing a chain of custody, no matter what it's for. It doesn't matter if it's for the knife sheath or a piece of tape. It doesn't matter. The protection of physical evidence prior to and during its collection, and its protection during transportation and or storage. It also refers to any failure to collect, protect, and or test essential items of evidence. Everything must be documented and established. Otherwise, anybody else who looks at it has no idea where it came from, where it's going to, where it went, who touched it. He says, in this case, some law enforcement efforts were made to secure the crime scene subsequent to the arrival of crime scene processing personnel, to include officers at the front and rear door. However, what they messed up on, according to Turvey, is a number of security failures are evident. These failures had a harmful impact on chain of custody and related evidence integrity. These failures, which prevent certainty with respect to who had access to the crime scene and when, prior to processing efforts, include the following. 8 hours unsecured. The scene was not secure for approximately 8 hours prior to the arrival of law enforcement. During this time frame, the remaining housemates and other potential persons entered, moved about freely, and exited the home without their movements being documented. This reality has the inescapable effect of disturbing and confounding the physical evidence, as it would ultimately be discovered and secured by law enforcement. It's not noted as detrimental in subsequent collection or examination efforts, despite having a negative impact on chain of custody. The activity of Dylan Mortensen and Bethany. Dylan and Bethany were not approached or attacked during this incident. Despite being awake and texting with each other at the time, with Dylan reporting that she saw an intruder outside of her bedroom door. Their digital activity appears to have continued after this, indicating that both were awake, texting, and making phone calls before their reported activity in relation to calling friends, family, and eventually 911. Emily Allant was contacted by Dylan Mortensen at around 11:50. Emily was reportedly asked to come over and check on the house with her boyfriend, Hunter. Hunter did so as described below. But prior to the arrival of Emily and Hunter, Dylan and Bethany had unfettered access to all areas of the residence, but they reported not leaving their or Bethany's bedroom. After Dylan went to Bethany's room to join her, it is unclear whether law enforcement fully investigated and established the activity in the home during the 8-hour interval, or why police EMS were not called despite concerns about one of their housemates being passed out and non-responsive. I'm glad he's saying this because nobody else has been saying this. Nobody has said this in this case. Look, there was 8 hours in there. There was 8 hours. There was probably more than 8 hours in there. And they have free reign of the house. We know Dylan's moving around. We know she's taking steps. She's going to the second floor. She's more than likely going to the third floor. She's doing all sorts of stuff in this house. But did officers investigate that? Did they ask exactly what Dylan and Bethany did, other than Dylan saying, oh, we fell asleep and we woke up and immediately called 911? No, they just accepted that as the answer. And that's it. And that's it. If officers were not going to collect evidence properly, investigate the scene properly, conduct interviews properly, the very least they could have done was gotten a pretty specific answer from Dylan and Bethany to know what took place in that home in the time that Dylan claims people came in, people left, and then she ran downstairs, I don't know, walked downstairs, skipped downstairs, teleported downstairs. It changes every day, so I'm not sure how she got down there. But yeah, they should have at least got a specific answer on that. Just so they know. You know, part of it for me is that Dylan and Bethany, for them to actually give a specific answer, an answer that's exact or to the best of their ability, there's not one officer that can just ask one question and get an answer. No, they have to ask and be very specific, like telling Dylan after 6 dang interviews, hey, we've got your phone records, so you might want to be honest. And then we finally get more information from her, or true information, or somewhat true information. I'm not going to say she gave true information because I'm sure she left a lot out, but she did say like, oh, I messaged Quinn. I let him know. That didn't come out until one of the last interviews, and that was because the interview person told her, don't forget, we've got your phone records. You might not want to lie. And she was like, oh, shoot. I forgot to tell you guys this in the last 8 interviews. Oopsies. Liar. Number 3, the activity of Hunter Johnson. After the arrival of Emily and Hunter, 911 was called. When officers arrived at the scene minutes later, they encountered Hunter Johnson inside the residence. Reported he had arrived about 15 to 20 minutes prior to law enforcement and entered the home at the request of his girlfriend. Johnson immediately admitted to entering and moving around within the house, moving a knife from the kitchen to the beer pong table on the second floor to be used for his own self-defense, and checking the pulse of one of the victims. Law enforcement documented this activity. However, it's unknown what other movements throughout the home occurred that could have altered the existing evidence. These evidence dynamics are not noted as detrimental in subsequent collection or examination efforts, despite having a negative impact on chain of custody. I would have also liked to see, why didn't they approach Hunter, two of them, two officers, approach Hunter and say, hey, we need to know, we need to see, and we need to recreate every step you took inside this home. And I would have liked to see that on body cam, because I'd like to see the time it takes for him to walk them around and show them exactly what he did, so we can compare to the time he was inside the house during the 911 call, which I'm sure wasn't the first time he had been in that house. Well, they didn't do that either. Multiple officers can be observed entering the first floor entrance, moving throughout the house in both sets of stairs, walking around on different floors. The movement throughout the home could have altered physical evidence. Basic consideration with respect to preserving the integrity of witness and suspect interviews is the immediate separation of persons at the scene. On Topics coming in with a bang. Thank you so much. We appreciate you always showing up for us. And we have Death Child gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much, and congratulations to our new K9 crew member. I gotta change the name of what we're called, but we are now doggy related or pet related, fur baby related. Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. Amazing. So even Turvey's like, all of you guys were walking around this house with, no booties. Probably half of them didn't have gloves on. I could see 1 or 2 of them like licking the window, stuff like that. Things that MPD does, right? And he states about them not being separated. Nobody was freaking separated. And I know for so many people that's been a huge deal. It's like there was misstep after misstep after purposeful misstep from 5 seconds into arrival, 10 seconds into arrival, immediately upon arrival, you guys messed it up. My God. One of the surviving witnesses from inside the home were properly interviewed on scene by responding officers. This is generally done to get a preliminary or rough version of events by those who observed it firsthand. Without this information, it's difficult to separate victims from suspects once inside the scene, the result of which could be additional tragedy. I mean, he's basically saying, we don't know who was a suspect. Any one of them could have been a suspect. We don't know. And they were just all out there all willy-nilly. Everybody's wearing Xana's clothes and, willy-nilly. The witnesses gathered outside of the crime scene were allowed to leave the scene by law enforcement prior to being subject to a preliminary interview and identity confirmation. Thank you so much, Blondie. Good to see you. Good to see you. So good to see you. We appreciate you. Maybe Hunter went in to lock the door that the perps could have exited if there was a door to the tunnels. Who knows what he did, but it was surely something. Witchy! Jenny Ayers, 33 shoe prints were not photographed. Sick. That's so sick. 33 33. I'm telling you guys, there is so much in these reports. It is no wonder they didn't want us to get our hands on them. There is so much in here that makes it as if it wasn't clear enough that this whole investigation was absolute shit, and that it is more than likely that Bryan Kohberger did not do this. These make it extraordinarily true that he did not do this. That their investigation was a lot of lies and a lot of BS all wrapped up, tied together with black licorice. Gross. Thank you so much. That is insane. 33 shoe prints were, oh my God. And we'll get to all that. We're going to have a couple days. We'll probably do all of the documents this week. I do want to fit in quite a bit of frat information. I've been watching some series on like the insides of the workings of frats and sororities, and it's really disgusting, and I want to share some of that. But also Saturday, we are going to be having a live marathon. We're going to be doing 2 shows on Saturday. We'll have a guest on Saturday, and then we'll do the verdict room afterwards. So just to keep y'all in the loop real quick. All right. There was negligent failure and professional abandonment with respect to reported crime scene evidence. This extreme professional abandonment, which evidences a lack of crime scene education, training, and experience, include the following. All of the witnesses, including the surviving roommates, were allowed to leave the scene by law enforcement without being examined for blood evidence, injury, or trauma, without collecting their clothing or shoes, without checking their persons for items of evidence. This is necessary for both the identification and documentation of potential physical evidence and negative documentation with respect to its absence. This is nothing short of professional abandonment of immensely important crime scene evidence. As evidenced in crime scene photos and evidentiary reports, law enforcement photographed but did not document and collect the first floor bathroom. It had a trash can, but unlike the other bathrooms in the home, there were limited hygiene and cleaning products, no floor mat, no towels. The trash can, toilet, and bathtub should have carefully documented and photographed, collected into evidence, examined for bloody transfer and cleanup efforts, and tested for DNA. He's like, what? I go into the first floor and go into the bathroom and there's crap missing. Like maybe it got blood on it when we were trying to clean up or during the commission of the crime. All this stuff is missing and you guys don't even like look in there. Oh my God. It's absolutely absurd. Every time we get new information like this, it just, for me, it's like screaming and screaming and screaming that they did it on purpose. They had to have. There is no way that this many law enforcement officers messed up this much and every single one of them messed up on the same stuff. No, it had to have been on purpose. Law enforcement generally photographed but did not document and collect clothing on the floor, footwear, towels, floor mats, dirty laundry, clothing from inside the washer and dryer. Duh. Why would you not? Like, If it's somebody that lived there, they'd be washing their stuff. The trash, they didn't even collect the trash. The inside of the shower stall. Apparent urine and toilet paper in the toilet. They didn't even collect the urine in the toilet from the second floor bathroom. Law enforcement photographed but did not collect or document towels, floor mat, the trash inside of the shower, the toilet on the third floor bathroom. All of these items should have been documented. My nose is running. Based on a review of the provided evidence, none of the areas in the home, to include areas of potential cleanup, were examined with presumptive chemical reagents such as luminol or blue star to search the scene for additional blood evidence. Such field testing is both standard and essential with respect to indoor cases involving even low levels of blood evidence or potential blood flow or transfer. That's so weird because I know he specifically says luminol or blue star, which will make, you know what, we all know what luminol does, right? It reacts with it and it makes it glow. It makes it visible. It shows you where it's at. That would have been the smartest thing to do, especially for people that seemingly don't have a clue what they're doing. I don't understand why it wasn't used. In early January of 23, the defense intervened to preserve and collect extensive physical evidence left behind at the crime scene and prevent its destruction. Much of this evidence had received blood transfer evidence in the form of contact smears, drops, and spatter. To be clear, law enforcement negligently failed to preserve and collect a long list of items from victim bedrooms, other bedrooms, and the house in general. They also inappropriately released personal items belonging to the victim's surviving household members before any examination could be made. At the instruction of the defense, law enforcement ended up returning to the scene on January 6th, that's my birthday, and collected 10 items to include bed frames, mattresses, pillows, blankets, covered in blood transfer. These items had been left behind at the scene basically by Moscow and the state. And they were just going to be destroyed with the house. Crazy. Yes, Amido Black also destroys all the evidentiary value. Crazy. I have no idea. I don't even know how that works to even comment on that. I think there were bodies missing from the house. That's why everyone has gone through what they've gone through to cover this up. I think it's possible, just because this case is so weird, that there is something with the bodies or something else happening that we have no clue about. There's something that just doesn't sit right with me with a couple things. Yeah, I'll just say that. Just with a couple things makes my brain wander. And if I said what it makes my brain do, you guys would think I was crazy, and then I'd be shunned forever. Shunned forever. All right, then he's got Payne's report in here. Miss Taylor requested we set aside the following items. Items from Dylan's belongings are a handwritten note, pink and white blanket with red hearts, pink and white cloth, possible used as a curtain or decoration, black and white Vans shoes, red and white shoes, black and white Converse. Items from the spare bedrooms are the small black and white Adidas, the green and pink coat. They were placed in cardboard boxes and set aside. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much, Jen. Haley says, I know, I have feelings. I have a feeling that worse things happen to them than what the autopsy reveals. I do too. I absolutely do. No kidding. G-Bean says, the whole freaking bin should have been looked at, especially because it had Xana's clothes near it. Why would you not take the whole freaking bin and test everything in the bin? Xana's clothes that she wore that day were in the spare bedroom, right next to the pink and green coat that had Dylan's blood on it. It should be noted that this extreme level of physical evidence abandonment and the improperly release of physical evidence back to family members and those who need to be eliminated as suspects is rare, primarily because it is understood that everything with blood on it needs to be examined and tested. Hello, Crime 101. I can't even believe he has to write that. It should be, you should think about maybe testing some of this stuff, you know? Like, duh. What the heck? Yeah, right? Like, because it's gotta be people that are worth all of them to jeopardize their career to cover up for. So whoever did do this that law enforcement is covering for, they've got to be worth it for them to do this. Because one little snake comes out and says, I was asked to, forge results to a test. Boom, now everybody's talking. It wasn't me, it was him. He told me to. No, she told me to, And then everybody's lost their job. So not only is it not Bryan Kohberger who did this, but whoever did do it, it's got to be worth it to officers to cover for them. And we just talked about that lady in Colorado who has been charged and arrested for over 1,000 cases. She was forging DNA results. Over 1,000 cases. That wasn't her decision. She wasn't just sitting there don't get me wrong. It was her decision. But I'm saying it's not like she was sitting there going, oh, this isn't Tom's. This is Brad's. Ha, ha, ha. And that's it. No. She wasn't just doing it for internal games or whatever, getting her kick off or something. I'm sure there were officers or mayors or whoever that was saying, hey, I need it to be this guy and not that guy. So just make it up. I'll give you a 10K or whatever it was. Thank you so much, Colin. 5 BronxTails True Crime memberships. We appreciate you so, so much. We've got 5 new Canine crew members, our new paw pals. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. And thank you, Colin, so much. So much. I wouldn't be surprised. Truly would not. Truly would not. Absolutely. So sweet. I appreciate it. Yay. Woo woo. Okay. Now, this goes into Murphy. It's titled The Barking Dog. According to an affidavit by Brett Payne, this is a quote. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee's. I later learned from reviewing Nunes' body camera, there was a dog in the room when officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend, Jack. I found out from my interview with Jack on the 13th that he and Kaylee shared the dog. Officer Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the 3rd floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Maddie's bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the 3rd floor. At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112, just northwest of King Road, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Xana's bedroom, unquote. Turvey says law enforcement discovered the dog Murphy in Kaylee's room on her bed, calmly sitting. The dog did not have blood on its feet or fur and did not seem interested in the fact that its owner had been killed with the body just a few yards away. Interesting. Now, they specifically say Murphy didn't have any interest in Kaylee's body or what had just taken place in the home a couple hours before. And I'm wondering, would he not have interest if it was somebody he knew that did it? Would it like sit okay with Murphy if it was somebody he knew that committed this crime against his owner? Because I can see him having interest in the body if maybe it was somebody he didn't know, like Bryan Kohberger. But if it's somebody he knew, then he might think that the actions were okay because he trusts that person or people. It does. It does. Hey, Beauty for Ashes. Good to see you, love. Maybe. It's an impasta. Not to be confused with pasta. It's an impasta. I just find it so weird. And that's what makes me think maybe because it was done by people that Murphy knows. So to him, it's like, I know who did this, so it's okay. And I don't have to freak out because I trust who did this. Giraffe Zebra says, if it was my dog, he'd be laying by my side, probably covered in blood. Yeah, same with mine. There's absolutely no way somebody would do that to me, number one, and Bronx would not bite them. But number two, Bronx would never leave my side. Matter of fact, he would probably be like scratching at me and stuff to get up, like freaking out. Wasn't Maddie's bedroom door shut? Was it shut? Was it shut all the way? That's interesting if it was. I feel like it was not. I feel like it was open, or at least partially open. But if it was shut, then whoever was in the home much later in the morning would have had to have shut it, because there's Murphy's paw prints in there. And I believe that that's probably from the condensation, the snow outside, Murphy's paws, being wet, and him walking in the house. And I think that's how we see his paw prints, because it's not necessarily in blood. I thought both were open. I thought they were open too. One of the docs says all the doors were open. Exactly. It's just sickening. It's sick. Murphy said they let him go because he promised not to tell anybody. Do you promise? Arf, arf. All right, bro, we'll let you go. We believe you. I also saw a picture of Murphy that he was under a desk and not on the bed. He was. We do have a picture of that. We do have a picture of Murphy under the desk rather than just sitting on the bed. But I'm wondering if Murphy kind of got scared and anxiety with all the officers being there. He ended up switching and going under the desk, which is strange, if you ask me, why people come in and murder his owner in the most disgusting way possible, and then he's seen just sitting on the bed, chilling. Had to be somebody he knew. Murphy's bark lasted for around 30 minutes, then abruptly stopped. The relevance of this in relation to the law enforcement theory that Bryan Kohberger left the crime scene at 4:20 has apparently not been investigated by law enforcement. A review of investigative efforts indicates that one of those at the scene or from inside the house were questioned or investigated as though they were a suspect. None of them were questioned or investigated as though they were a suspect. The vast majority of investigative efforts by law enforcement focused on the theory that there was only one set that this suspect entered without one suspect, and that the suspect entered without permission, and that this suspect did not reside in the home. Once Bryan Kohberger became a suspect, no other investigative avenues were pursued. None. Zero. Not one. Could you imagine how much evidence was lost, not collected? They didn't do anything with it, just overlooked completely because they thought it was somebody that it wasn't. I mean, could you imagine? Let's say it was hypothetically Lyndon or Hunter Chapin. I mean, just this is hypothetically. I'm sure other things would have been collected for evidence, like the Navy jacket that seems to be Hunter's under the TV. Cups, the cups they're drinking out of to get DNA off of the rim of it, or the fingerprints from the cups. Who was here drinking out of these cups? There's tons of different stuff that would have probably been collected or at least looked into, but because they thought it was Bryan Kohberger, they just didn't. Suspect vehicle. Law enforcement theorized that a vehicle or vehicles seen on security footage observed driving by or near the crime scene that night matches the description of the vehicle registered to and driven by the defendant. The relevance of this theory rests on the assumption that the defendant is guilty of these crimes. Despite law enforcement theories related to the defendant's movements that night, there is no evidence or testimony which conclusively identifies either a suspect vehicle involved in this case or the defendant's vehicle as being connected to this crime. This evidence is based on the facts that related reports and testimony from FBI have failed to conclusively identify the suspect vehicle, period. The failure to identify this vehicle, to be absolutely clear and forthcoming about this evident fact would be evidence of bias. Bryan Kohberger's 2015 Hyundai Elantra was theorized by law enforcement to have been a suspect vehicle associated with the case and was subsequently seized by the Pennsylvania State Police and transported to Moscow and examined. As will be discussed in the next section of this report, the suspect involved in committing these homicides would have been covered in blood as a result of the extraordinary amount of blood spatter and necessary blood transfers. This includes hands, arms, legs, feet, and all related clothing, which would have transferred onto and into any suspect vehicle in relation to opening the doors, entering the seats, adjusting the seats and mirrors, closing the door, inserting the key, using the gear shift, and using the steering wheel. All of these being necessary actions or movements for the successful operation of a motor vehicle. The transfers could be microscopic and can be detected using luminol. They did use luminol. It showed not a drop, not a speck, nada, nothing in his car. It's just so wild. If I was an officer and I was so gung-ho about this person, yet, and let's say I think that it's their vehicle on the camera. It's not like Bryan Kohberger came there using a different vehicle and that's how there's nothing in his vehicle. They're saying that's his vehicle that we see. That's him and his vehicle. For there to be not a drop in the vehicle. Unbelievable. It is impossible. That's impossible. That is absolutely impossible. I don't care if you strip naked outside the car and blow up the clothes. That was so much blood. You're still going to have blood that seeps through the clothing, that gets on your skin. There would have been blood in the openings of the mask. I mean, it would have just been everywhere, and it's slippery and it's thick. You can't just, no more blood. Let me take a napkin and wipe this off. No, it doesn't work that way. Not a speck. Despite an extensive and exhaustive forensic examination of the defendant's vehicle for bloody clothing, transfer, evidence related to these crimes down to the metal, none was found. This has essentially excluded the defendant's vehicle as being related to the commission of these crimes. I agree. How can you say that it's his vehicle after knowing there's not a speck of anything in there? I don't care how much you cleaned. You're not getting all of it. The failure to be absolutely clear and forthcoming about this event would be evidence of bias. Reconstruction. Points of entry. Aside from the windows, which are impractical or evidently undisturbed, there are 3 points of entry into this residence. On the first floor, there is a door facing the parking lot, which requires a key code to open. It opens into a stairway on the left, which provides access to the second floor. It also provides access to a hallway that services the rooms and bathroom on the first floor. It is unknown how many people have the access code to this door, but it is believed to be many, as this was well known as a party house. There is no sign of forced entry at this location. On the second floor, there's a sliding glass door which was found to be open by law enforcement. It has been inferred that this is the location where the suspects may have entered or at least exited. There is no physical evidence to support this, as again, there would need to be the requisite bloody transfer. If an intruder left the house through this door, having left it open upon entry, there would need to be bloody footwear patterns on the floors from bloody shoes or feet or both, leading up to and out of that sliding glass door. On the third floor, there is a sliding glass door in Kaylee's room, which opens onto a balcony. This balcony is where dog tracks were found. Kaylee and Madison were discovered in Kaylee's bedroom. That's got to be an error, right? Because it was Maddie's bedroom. In her bed, both were deceased, though a complete linear reconstruction of events is not possible. The available physical evidence supports the following relevant events and conclusions. Madison suffered multiple sharp force injuries. Post-mortem examination showed a well-developed adult female with stab and incise wounds of the scalp, face, and neck. There are sharp force injuries to Madison's left forearm and hand that could best be described as defensive in nature. This indicates that she was awake and attempting to block a sharp force attack for a very brief period of time before becoming overwhelmed and unable to defend herself. That is a big typo. Big typo. I was like, Kaylee's room? What? Given the context of the attack against Kaylee and the variety of injuries to Madison, it's likely that at least some of her wounds were inflicted when she was no longer able to defend herself. Kaylee suffered from multiple forms of lethal force. Distinguishing her from every other murder victim in this incident, as described in the autopsy report, wounds of the scalp, face, and neck were over 24, stab and incise wounds of the chest, 11, and stab and incise wounds of the upper extremities, 3. Associated injuries included punctures of the outer table of the skull, injuries to the teeth and tongue, perforations of the subclavian artery and vein, and hemorrhage into the chest cavities. Blunt force injuries included a scalp laceration, bleeding around the brain, and nasal fracture, as well as scrapes on the nose and cheeks, bruising around the eyes, and patterned bruising extending across the lower face. Petechial hemorrhages were present in the eyes and mouth. There was no evidence of natural disease, but he forgot to list her occipital bone was also fractured. The occipital bone. I'm still floored by that. The occipital bone is the large bone on the back of your head for guys that have, like, you know, a fade, a haircut where it's shorter down here and longer up here. That occipital bone is what hairdressers find to know where to cut your hair. Just so you know. To be clear, Kaylee suffered from extensive sharp force injuries, well beyond that suffered by the other victims, repetitive stabbings to her face. She suffered from a blunt force attack to the head, which broke her nose, cracked her skull. There we go. And she suffered asphyxial injuries, which involved the covering of her mouth, causing extensive injury to the inside of her lips. This context of multiple weapons and multiple types of lethal force suggests multiple attackers, as will be discussed in a subsequent section. There is no evidence which suggests that either Maddie or Kaylee were attacked out of their bed. Well, come on, Turvey, get it together. Nothing. He doesn't even have bushy eyebrows, though. It's not that serious. It is not that serious. I mean, people come in here all the time and ridicule us for saying, read the documents. That's fine, but read the documents. I mean, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say about Bryan. I really don't. I mean, he didn't do it, so you can say whatever you want. It doesn't really bother me. Oh, is that Jeff? Jeffrey, relax. Jeffrey, relax. It's okay. Jeffrey, we know that Dylan's a big trigger for you. And that's okay. Because she's a big trigger for me too, just the opposite way. Oh. What? Is this real life? Am I not supposed to put that on the screen? Hey, Steven, good to see you. Moto. Really? Are you okay? Email me. If you need to talk, email me. I will be more than happy to listen. And I'm sorry if that is upsetting for you. Aw. You good? Are you good? We need our moto to be good, okay? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tomboy. Nice picture. I love it. Yeah, Tomboy, you have a whole community behind you. Don't you forget that either. Don't forget that. I'd be more than happy to talk if you need it. You need it. I'm telling you, you need it. Sorry, Moto. Oh. There is no evidence to suggest that Kaylee or Maddie were attacked outside of their bed. I disagree, as their feet are generally free of bloody transfer from bleeding injuries suffered while upright. There are also no large areas of blood pooling or dripping on the floor. That doesn't mean that somebody wasn't carried up there or dragged up there. The evidence suggests that after both victims were killed or unresponsive, they were posed in their shared bed. Kaylee was moved from a position with her head on her pillow to partially atop of Maddie. Then the comforter was placed over them both. And we actually know that's true, that Kaylee was absolutely moved after she died, because we know from the autopsy that she had lividity all down her back. So she had to have died on her back for all the blood to drop because of gravity. All the blood goes to the place closest to the floor. No matter, if she was laying on her stomach when she died, all of the blood would go to the front. But she was on her back when she died. So all the blood goes to the backs of the legs, the heels, the backs of the knees, the butt, the back, the upper shoulders, the back of your head, And then somebody moved her, because we were told that she was kind of cuddled up to Maddie, like partially leaned over onto her side, like her face facing Maddie, that if she died with her face sideways, lividity would be on the side of her face, and it's not. So she was absolutely moved after death. The extensive close-up nature of the attacks on Kaylee and Maddie, along with blood spatter evident in the room, and the moving of Kaylee's body are evidence that the suspects, with an S, upper bodies, face, hair, hands, arms, and chest area would have been covered in blood. All available physical blood evidence suggests that these were the first victims. Physical and blood evidence suggests that these were the first victims, that they were specifically sought out on the 3rd floor, and that the suspects then moved downstairs to the 2nd floor, where at least one of the suspects was observed by Xana. This would have been covered in blood. Ethan and Xana were discovered in Xana's room. Ethan was in her bed and Xana was on the floor next to it. Both were deceased, though a complete linear reconstruction of events is not possible. Xana ordered and received DoorDash food delivery at 3:59. She received her food on the 1st floor. How do they know that? Xana received her food on the 1st floor, then moved it upstairs to the kitchen. This is evident in crime scene photos. No, I don't. What up, Dago? Yo. I don't think that's a fair statement. How can he get that? Listen again. Dr. Turvey says Xana ordered, subsequently received a DoorDash food delivery at 3:59. She received her food on the 1st floor, then moved it upstairs to the kitchen. This is evident in crime scene photos. No, it's not. Anybody could have grabbed that food and put it in the kitchen. Dylan could have grabbed that food and put it in the kitchen. Bethany could have grabbed that food and put it in the kitchen. The DoorDash driver could have brought it inside and put it in the kitchen. If maybe they're on meth. I don't know. Just because it's in the kitchen doesn't mean Xana put it there. There's no evidence of that. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't her. It could have been her as well, but you can't say because of crime scene photos that it was Xana. We don't know that for a fact. Nothing says that. It's not like there was a note left by Xana. I put my DoorDash in here. Reported Xana to have been on TikTok at approximately 4:12. This is her last documented activity. Because she was attacked and found dead in her room on the floor, it is evident that Xana subsequently retreated to her bedroom but was followed. I don't buy that. I don't believe it for a second. You will never convince me that Xana was in the kitchen with a plate of food and somebody was approaching her to attack her in an all black outfit with a black mask, with a knife and a vacuum and a fire jack and all sorts of things. And she's going to take her plate. She's going to take her plate? No, absolutely not. And why would you run to your bedroom if the slider was open? Just run out the slider. What could have been true, though, is Xana in the kitchen putting her plate together, talking to Dylan. And Dylan kind of follows her into the room, faking a chit chat so Dylan can gain access into her room, allegedly, in my opinion. That could have been possible. Xana not seeing that there was a threat in the moment. Yeah. Just run out the actual freaking open door. I think they took too much from that Dateline video and the video from that girl that said this is exactly what happened. Yeah. That's crazy. I don't know. I'm a little disappointed that Turvey said that. That doesn't seem very knowledgeable in investigation. Why would Xana take her plate and run? Xana suffered extensive sharp force injuries along with abrasions and contusions of the head, torso, and extremities, as described in the autopsy report. We don't have to go through all of that. She also had scrapes and bruises on her face, her torso, her arms and legs. These injuries appear to be the result of an extended attack, which ended once she was no longer fighting back. Xana is also the only victim with blood on her feet, evidencing the fact that she is the only victim attacked upright and out of bed. Again, because she encountered a suspect while eating her food and watching TikTok videos on the second floor. We don't know that. Just because somebody doesn't have blood on their feet doesn't mean they were in bed either. It could mean, all that means is that their feet didn't step in blood. It doesn't mean that they were in bed. They could have been attacked and knocked out, carried, drug up the stair. I mean, we don't know that. That does not say, just because they don't have blood on their feet doesn't say they weren't. That they were all in their bed. That doesn't say that. Not to me anyway. The attack suffered by Xana was incidental to the intended target of the attack, which will be discussed in a later section of this report. How do they know that? The attack suffered by Xana was incidental to the intended target. So these people went there for somebody else specifically. Somebody was targeted, and she was just collateral damage, like they're saying. How do they know that? Because, I mean, really, other than Kaylee's blunt force injuries, Xana has the worst injuries. Yeah, it's probably from putting up such a big fight, but how do we know that she wouldn't have been just as bad as Kaylee if she was actually knocked out or sleeping? How do we know? We don't know that somebody else was the target. We really don't. He's saying that Kaylee and Maddie were killed first. But we got Steve G screaming, he didn't have to go upstairs. Can I pet that dog? He didn't have to go upstairs. Let's see. The attack suffered in her bedroom, which involved an extensive defense throughout the entire space, was evidently sufficient to wake Ethan. This would have necessitated his death to kill a living witness as well. So Turvey thinks that, yeah, I think that I can get on board with that Ethan was killed first, or at least subsequently to Xana, or at the same time as Xana. But I don't think Ethan was killed after Xana. I don't believe that. That just doesn't make sense logically for suspects to leave the biggest threat alive until the end. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Was Turvey working from information that was incorrect? Blood on the table, misnumbered? I think it's possible because this, some of this just really doesn't add up. Ethan first for me too. Yeah. Where? Let me see. You need that sound clip. Can I pet that dog? Clip it. Can I pet that dog? Oh, that's so funny. Count de Monet. Dylan lured Xana to the kitchen. Quinn and Mowich went in to take out Ethan. Xana heard it and ran to Ethan. Dylan attacks her around the door to the bedroom. Could be. Surely could. Ethan Chapin was first during Grub Truck, in my opinion. I gotta tell you guys, I do think that it's highly possible people were in the house before anybody got home. People were in the house before anybody got home, or when Dylan got home, that's when things started getting into place. Dylan's fake sleeping, so Lakeland will leave. I mean, you don't think that that was a manipulative move? Like, I'm going to fake sleeping so this girl books it and gets the heck out of here because I'm being boring. I'm sleeping. So this girl's going to go home because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm fake sleeping so she will be bored and will go home. So all this stuff can go down. So all the planned attack, whether Dylan actually made a wound or not, I don't know. But I do think that allegedly, in my opinion, she was pot of it. Hello, good to see you. Hello. 211. 211. So it hadn't, according to her, it hadn't even happened yet. So that was staged. I'm not sure how she knew 2 hours prior that there was going to be somebody in the house. Ethan did not present with blood on his feet, despite the floor of Xana's bedroom being covered with blood in many areas. This indicates that he was never fully upright and out of the bed during his attack. The entirety of the attack suffered by Ethan took place in Xana's bed and would not have lasted very long. Ethan suffered the least number of injuries of any of the victims. The incised wounds to Ethan's upper extremities are best described as defensive in nature. These defensive wounds indicate that he was awake and blocking a sharp force weapon with his right and left hands from multiple directions. It is not reasonable to think that Ethan would have remained in his bed after waking up or being awake while Xana was being attacked in front of him. This evidence and context begin to suggest the existence of a second attacker. Well, hell yeah, it does. This issue will be addressed in a later section of this report. The extensive and close-up nature of the attacks on Xana and Ethan, along with the blood spatter and blood smears evident in the room, are evidence that the suspects, with an S, entire bodies would have been covered in blood. Despite intensive investigative efforts, where? With respect to identifying the sharp force weapon or weapons used in this case, none have been identified. The same is true for the blunt force weapon or weapons used. To be clear, the murder weapons in this case remain unidentified and at large. Don't you think it's crazy that not one officer has looked for not one weapon? Or not one family member has wondered about what weapon or any of the weapons, or even said, I'm going to go take a walk and look for one? Nobody cares. It's so odd. We care more than they care. Modus operandi. Modus operandi is basically the motive. Hello, accomplished day. Good to see you. Hello, I heard back from MPD today and paid the first half deposits of Cole Barenberg, Riley Moreland, and Aiden McEntry. Just wanted to give you an update. I'm still waiting for Jacqueline's to release. Sweet. Sweet. I cannot wait. Chris says, I think Kaylee was so badly damaged because she wasn't dying fast and it was the girls trying to kill her. I think that's possible. Absolutely. Oh, yes. DM has too many stories that don't match. So excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. Nope. Yeah. Can't wait. You'll definitely have to tag a bunch of us too when you post it so we know. That's one of the reasons I think something very, very different went down. We would all be up in the... Why didn't the families hire private investigators? Could you imagine? Could any of you imagine getting a call that your daughter was horrifically murdered and you just sit on your couch? You just sit down. You just do nothing. And you wait hours and hours and hours for police to come to your house in a different city? Huh? My dog was sick and I have struggled to sleep and eat tremendously. To the point where like I've lost weight that I didn't have to lose because my dog was sick. I couldn't imagine getting a call that my child, the way that she was, and I just do nothing. They didn't go anywhere. They didn't do anything. I struggle to talk about my dog from 25 years ago that passed away from old age without crying. And they all can talk about their daughter just fine. I've never seen them shed a tear. None of them. It's just strange. Modus operandi is a Latin term that means method of operating. It refers to the manner in which a crime has been committed. A criminal's modus operandi is comprised of choices and behaviors that are intended to assist in the completion and concealment of a crime. There was no modus operandi for Bryan Kohberger. The physical and behavioral evident in this crime evidence the following elements related to modus operandi. The elements of planning and precaution demonstrated in the modus operandi of this crime are low skill with respect to planning and execution, and high skill with respect to precaution. Planning. Whatever planning may have taken place with respect to this crime, it resulted in an excessive number of victims with an excess of bloody transfer and bloody clothing on the part of the suspects. I love how he puts an S on the word suspect in every sentence. Every sentence is more than one suspect, for sure. This took additional time to both affect and clean up before they could leave. Did they leave though? But did they leave though? It's impossible that any parent would not go to their child if they heard something happen to them and they couldn't reach her. No way. They knew, or there is something staged or fake going on here. Ooh, I think you're onto something here. Did not leave, huh? Say it again. Yes. Hey, good to see you, Krista. Steve G says in court, I think it's disgusting we're even saying the word gag when some of the victims were gagged. I think it's disgusting that we're asked to hide what happened to our children. And Hitler basically says, shut up and sit down. It seems like it, doesn't it? Doesn't it? People die when Macbeth arrives. It does seem like that. I'm surprised they can't fill wounds to make a mold of a weapon, like a knife in some way by now. Low expandable foam, even 3D printer. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. I always think that something could be missed if, like in the shape of the wound internally. What if something's missed? Like, what if there's a little nick in the knife that will show up transversely in the wound? And then you find the weapon and you see that there's like a nick in the knife, that's not that would really happen like that, but it's a crazy idea. Or, a bullet looks a certain way and you can see it in the wound. Donald says, what about the parents of these kids who lived through this? I think the parents even know who did this, unfortunately. I think a lot of people know. I think that there's a unspoken secrecy. I think a lot of people know. I think that they don't want any parts of it. They don't want to even speak on it. They don't want to be part of it. They don't want to be next. They don't want anything at all to do with this. And so nobody's saying anything. I think the most we've heard anybody say is the Mad Greek, right? When they wrote that post at 3 years, and it was basically something along the lines of, although we don't believe that this has been solved correctly, we miss you every day. That's in a nutshell. Those are my words, but it was similar to that. And now the Mad Greek went out of business, like really close to the time of them posting that. Mm. The precautionary acts in this case include the execution of living witnesses. Say what? The execution of living witnesses? Witnesses to what? What does he know? Witnesses to what? The cleanup of bloody hands, feet, footwear, and clothing before leaving, and the disposal of said clothing along with the weapons used. Direct evidence of this cleanup can be found in at least some of the diluted blood transfer, which was located in different areas of the home. Indirect evidence includes the absence of bloody transfer from feet and hands, despite the movement of suspects within the home, the necessary opening of doors, and the absence of bloody footwear patterns at the scene in general. All of this would have required an extensive amount of time at the scene to clean, perhaps hours, which is inconsistent with the state's theory that these crimes were committed within a time interval less than 15 to 20 minutes subsequent to 4 a.m. Number of suspects. At least 2 suspects are involved in this attack. This is indicated by the fact that multiple weapons were used against Kaylee, that multiple types of lethal force were used against Kaylee, and that Ethan and Xana appear to have been attacked at the same time. This is inconsistent with the state's theory that these crimes were committed solely by one individual. I mean, Xana had blunt force injuries as well. So I don't know why he's leaving that out. Posing. Me too. I agree with that. That's funny. Posing. As mentioned prior, posing is evident in the present case. This is based on the following facts and evidence. This refers to intentionally arranging the scene for effect. In the present case, the bodies of Kaylee and Madison were posed together after the lethal attack suffered by both, and then they covered together with a comforter. Staging the crime scene refers to an attempt to confuse or misdirect law enforcement. The sheath. In the present case, a K-bar knife sheath was discovered in the crime scene by law enforcement. Evidence of staging with respect to this item of evidence is as follows. The sheath was found precariously placed just slightly under the body of Madison Mogen and partially covered by the comforter that was placed atop the midsection of her body by the suspects. It could not have fallen accidentally into this location. Oh. Wait. Okay. The sheath was new and unused, as indicated by the absence of damage or wear to the leather. The sheath was face down and had received only a few areas of minute blood spatter while resting atop a sheet with significant impact spatter all around it. The inconsistency of blood spatter, dispersion, and density indicate transfers occurring at different times under different conditions with different levels of intensity. The sheath was placed at that location without receiving bloody transfer from the hands or fingers of the suspect that did it. Interesting. Because, yeah, I mean, even having gloves on and stuff, after stabbing Maddie or Kaylee or whoever, and then if they picked up the sheath and put it there, it would have bloody prints on it, or smudges or smears at least, and there's not. From touching it, there's not a fingerprint, smudge, smear on that thing. So how did it get there without being touched? And there's no way it could just fall off. I mean, the person who had it, I mean, okay, let's say it's Bryan Kohberger and it just fell off. That's not possible because he still would have had to have been touching it or holding it, because it's not going to come off a belt loop. I can tell you that. This means it was done after the attacks, but also after the suspect had washed their hands subsequent to cleanup efforts at the scene. Primary target was Kaylee Gonsalves. She was specifically targeted by the suspects, and the rest of the victims in the home were collateral. This is based on the following facts and evidence. Kaylee's room was the least convenient and most risky to access in the home, yet she and Madison were attacked first. The attack suffered by Kaylee was the most extensive, involving the most injuries. I thought Xana had the most injuries. Excuse me, sir, you're lying. Excuse-moi? I thought Xana had more injuries than Kaylee, involving the most, and was therefore the most time-consuming. What? I don't think that Kaylee's was the most time-consuming. Nah. Nah, ma'am. Why you always lying? Why that you lying? Okay. Kaylee was stabbed repeatedly in the face until she was unrecognizable. No other victim suffered this amount of close-up facial attention or damage. Kaylee suffered multiple types of lethal force stabbing, blunt force, and asphyxiation. All other victims suffered only one form of lethal force. That's a lie. That is a freaking lie, because Santa had blunt force as well. But nobody wants to talk about that. Xana had blunt force injuries. This level of unnecessary close interaction and brutality are characteristics of primary targets in cases motivated by anger and rage. He forgot to mention the word jealousy, though, because that's what I think. As explained in Turvey 2022, this is rage toward a specific person. It's also evidenced by what may be referred to as evidence of overkill, injury beyond that needed to cause death, repeated infliction of injury subsequent to the application of lethal force. And that's Turvey's. He does say a lot of things. There's some things that I didn't know. Yeah, there were some specific things in there that I didn't think of it that way, I suppose. So I know he says at one point that Kaylee's sliding door was open. Kaylee's slider was open. And I don't believe for 1 second that Kaylee left her sliding door open for a period of time at all. Whether she was downstairs with Murphy dancing, I don't believe the whole dancing thing. Her phone went silent at 2:53. You guys, Kaylee and Maddie had liquid in their stomachs. I don't believe for 1 second that they had liquid in their stomachs because they continued to drink when they got home. I don't buy that. Specifically, Maddie's liquid in her stomach was green. That is a bar drink. It takes not very long for liquid to leave the stomach and go into the intestines. It's pretty quick. So the fact that they have liquid in their stomachs tells me that liquid is from the bar, and they were killed not long after they got home from the bar, which if we look at their phones going dark at 2:53 or 2:54, I would suggest that that's probably the time that they were killed, because they still had liquid in their stomach. That liquid in their stomach by 4 o'clock in the morning, it is going to be long gone. Long gone. All right. Now. No, it was like a large amount of liquid. Like I've been drinking at the bar. It was brown liquid in Kaylee's and green liquid in Maddie's. And to me, that says bar drink. It was like an abundance of liquid. Like I've been out drinking. So, hello. Good to see you. So much corruption. Thank you so much. Made it to the live. Woohoo. Woohoo. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. Now I want to get to Dylan, and we're just going to get through as much as we can of Dylan's today. So Dylan has her unredacted interviews. And these are so important. So important. And this is actually where it starts, is just randomly in the middle of a sentence. And she's actually talking to Blaker in this one. So Dylan starts out by saying, from what I remember, nothing at all. We don't know the question. So Blaker says, do you know how far you open the door? Dylan, I don't even remember a third time. I don't know if you could see my whole body. I don't know if you could just see my head. I don't remember at all. Let's think about this for a second, though. Dylan said in other interviews that she did open the door 3 times. But initially with Blaker, she says, I don't even remember a third time, but you remember the first 2. Why do you think she remembers the first 2? Is it because the first one she went to Kaylee and Maddie's room, and then maybe she cleaned herself off? And then the second one she went to Xana and Ethan's room? Is that why she only remembers 2 times of opening the door and coming out? Oh no. Just a suggestion. Dylan says, sorry. Bronx is dreaming. Dylan says, sorry, I'm just trying to find the text between me and Bethany. Oh, okay. So now she's avoiding questions. I think it will help. Okay. So at 4:22, I said, no one's answering. I'm a little confused. She goes, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Xana was wearing all black. I don't remember how all black came up. And I think I might have called her and said there was someone wearing, I don't know. See, every time Dylan stops herself in the middle of a sentence, she's about to tell on herself, and she's physically stopping herself from telling on herself. And that's how we know she's lying. Then at 5:23, I said, I'm freaking out. I was like a ski mask almost. 5:23. Oh, 4:23. Sorry, the time change. And she was like, shut the fuck up. Like, actually? And I said, like he had something over his head and mouth, Bethany. I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. And you can tell, obviously, I'm freaked out and drunk because, like, the spelling is off. Like, I spelled something with a B and an F. And then I said and I just put ND. And I spelled Bethany wrong. I spelled I wrong. How do you spell I wrong? How do you spell I wrong? And I said, my phone's going to die. Fuck. And then she said, come to my room. Run down here. That was at 4:23. I said, I'm scared with no A, a capital R. I'm going to guess you guys have these texts because it's on text message. And she says, Detective Gooch interrupts and says, did you feel safe to leave your room? Dylan says, I don't know, but I did. I don't know why I did. Like, it just didn't occur to me that anything was wrong. Hunty, but you just said I'm so scared. The sentence before that. Like, it just didn't occur to me that anything was wrong, but obviously, yeah, I was. Gooch says, Bethany's downstairs. Dylan says, back downstairs, so one floor down. She goes, at 4:25, she goes, yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone. So I opened the door for a second and I just sprinted. And I don't know why, but I felt like it was stupid of me to open the door. Like, I don't know why I did that, but I didn't see anyone. I mean, I was scared, but it wasn't like anything was wrong. I was just like freaked out that someone was in the house, but it wasn't like, oh, this is bad. That, like, you know, I just didn't think about that. And again, I literally told her, I don't know if this is real or not. Like, I don't know if my mind's playing with me. I don't know if this is like a dream of some sort. So from what I remember is that this is now the fourth time opening the door. Oh, but you don't remember the third time. You freaking liar. She says, this is now the fourth time opening the door. Do you see how she contradicts herself? Literally 3 sentences ago, she says, I don't remember opening the door a third time. And now she's like, this is the fourth time I opened the door. Girl, quit lying. Literally, just by her sentences is why I think that she's part of it. She said, this is now the fourth time I'm opening the door. I go outside. I sprint. I think I sprinted again, but could have been just like running. I think I'm sprinting. I don't know. I see Xana in her room and she's like on the floor. I'm like, okay, she's just like drunk, passed out like that. Maybe she's just drank way too much that night. She'll be fine in the morning. She's with Ethan, from what I thought. I didn't see Ethan. I just saw the door open. From what I remember, I think this is what happened. I remember her on the floor, and I don't think she had any pants on except for underwear. And I was like, oh, like that was normal for her to do. Like, just wear underwear around the house because we were all so comfortable with each other. Like, that was not weird at all. So I thought nothing of it. Okay. For somebody who thinks nothing of something, why are you speaking 10 sentences about it? If you didn't think anything of it, then you don't think anything of it and you're not speaking on it, right? So the fact that she's speaking on it means she's thinking about it. And she's like, oh, it's not weird at all because we're just so comfortable with each other. No, there's something with Xana being in her underwear for Dylan because she's speaking on it and saying, I'm not speaking on it. I'm not thinking about it, but you're speaking on it. So yeah, there's definitely something there, in my opinion, for Dylan with Xana being in her underwear. I was just like, okay, it's fine. And I was always too scared to go look in her room because then I was like, I don't know if this guy is here or not. What? I don't know if someone's here or not. Like, I have no clue. I don't know if like my mind's freaking out or not. All I knew was that Bethany was awake. She had been calling me. I need to go down to her because we need to be together. Gooch says, but you saw Xana on your way by? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's streaks of blood coming down Xana's door. Is that normal? Look, they could see blood on the ground, in my opinion, from the landing straight into Xana's room. Absolutely. Remember, she could not wake up on the second floor because then she'd be the one finding the bodies in the morning. They had to say they were on an empty floor away from it all. Good freaking point. Good point. Absolutely. They couldn't be on that floor. You're absolutely right. Because they wouldn't have been able to get away with all the things following. All the things. Doesn't she? Dylan gives me anxiety as well. Like, she can't form a full sentence. Ugh, it's just obnoxious. So Gooch says, but you saw Xana on your way by? Dylan says, yeah. So when you go, from my room to get to Bethany's room, you have to go past the living room. To pass the living room, you look like, so here's my room. I'm coming out this way. I walk down into the living room. I look to my left. That is where Xana's room is, like down this little hallway. Gooch says, were the lights on or anything? Dylan, there were lights on. I think so. I don't know for sure again, but I think so because I was able to see her. Gooch, in her room, the lights were on? Dylan, yeah. And I don't know if the bathroom lights were on. I can't remember. I think they were, but again, I don't know. Like, everything's kind of wish-washy. I can't remember. Gooch says, is Xana saying anything? Dylan, no. I thought she was just passed out on the floor. Like, I thought she was just taking a nap. Who the takes a nap at 4 a.m. on the floor covered in blood? I wondered that. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but the Gonsalves family said, we asked if we could put flyers up, and the FBI and all the law enforcement told us no, we could not put flyers up. Actually, there was a flyer with an award or a reward. I want to say it was like $5,000 or something like that. It wasn't anything worthwhile for sure. I saw it on a news clip, like from day 1 or 2 or something like that. But they told the Gonsalves family they couldn't make flyers. Come on, though. Do you think the Gonsalves family is going to offer anything? They're going to be like, $2. We offer $2. Who's got info? But no, you're absolutely right. You would think they didn't have a suspect. They didn't have anybody for 2 months almost, but or a month and a half-ish. But that should kind of tell us right there that they knew the whole time that it was going to be Bryan Kohberger, that was going to be their patsy. Because now they've slipped, and Bryan's name was brought up on December 5th. So all of that, we know they didn't put anybody's information into CODIS. None of it, only Bryan's. So we know that he was going to be the patsy, but we should also know that he was going to be the patsy because they never put up a reward. They never put up flyers. Because they knew. They knew what they were going to do. It was all planned out. Dylan says, like you get too drunk, you just like the floor feels like sometimes when you're all kind of drunk, we're just like, okay, I just want to fall asleep on the floor. Like it just feels fine, you know? Gooch says, at no point after you encountered the man, Dylan interrupts her and says, yeah. Gooch says, did you think that there was something about Xana that isn't normal? You never thought that? Dylan says, yeah, I never thought anything was wrong. I thought she had just like fell asleep. I never thought she drank like she was unconscious. I didn't even think that at all. I think, thank you, Miss Bianca. We have 5 new members. So sweet. So sweet. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Bianca. We appreciate you. Yeah, the like fatigue. Ugh. Crazy. I never want to hear that word again. Like, what word? Oh, thanks, Bianca. We appreciate you. She says, I don't even think that I think didn't anything was wrong at all. So then I stopped for a second, look at her, go, okay, she's fine. Like she's just asleep. Oh, so you weren't sprinting. So you didn't sprint. Or you did sprint. You were sprinting in place. Is that what it was? I knew it. I knew she was sprinting in place. Idiot. Gooch, is her bedroom light on? Dylan, I think so. Again, I don't know for sure if things... Gooch, how far is Xana from you when you first see her? What's the distance? Dylan says, I guess if like I'm right here, it's like behind that window from where I am. Like it's pretty long hallway, I would say. Gooch says, is her bedroom at the end of the hallway? Ah, Pooh Bear's honeybee. New member. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the park. Oh, welcome to the park. Okay. Yes, the very end of the hallway, and like I couldn't see much, I guess. Oh, Jesus. Like I could just see her. I could see the top of her head because obviously her head is a lot higher than everything else. Top of her head. And I could see her lips a little. What? Sorry, guys. I haven't read this unredacted stuff. I could see her lips. I'm not even going to say it. I could see her lips a little bit, and that was it. I didn't see anything else. What? What the heck? You have to be so close to somebody to see their lips. Listen, when Xana's body got to the morgue, the medical examiner, she was covered in blood. Her whole face was covered in blood. How do you see lips when her face is covered in blood? Oh. Oh. Dylan's a killer. Dilla the killer. Oh, wow. I didn't see anything else. I didn't see anything wrong. Honey, if you're seeing her lips, you're seeing what's wrong. Like, it just looked like a room. Like, yeah, she was drunk, probably messed it up a little bit. Oh, now she's making excuses for how effed up the room looked from the fight. So if she didn't go into that room at all, she wouldn't be able to see her lips. She wouldn't know that the room was super messed up from the knockdown, drag out, stabbing fight. She wouldn't know any of that unless she was in there. From what I think I saw, it didn't look messy at all. Now you're lying. Now you're trying to cover up that you know it's messy, that you know there was a huge fight in there. It just looked like there was a few clothes. How do you know this from sprinting by? Dilla the killer. Dilla is a killer. Did she throw a blanket over the bodies in the bed? I believe she did, actually. Like, this just proves it to me. I mean, like we needed any more proof, but yeah, honey. Lips might be a transcription error of legs. Oh, maybe. Thank you, Witchy. It could be. Her head is a lot higher than everything, and I could see her legs a little bit, and that was it. I didn't see anything else. I didn't see anything wrong. Like, it just looked like a room. It could be legs. Just looked like there was a few clothes, you know. That's normal for all college girls. It's normal. Gooch, so this distance you're talking about, would you have been able to see her if the lights were out? Dylan says probably not. Gooch, so some light had to have been on. Dylan says, I think so. That's what I'm thinking. Gooch, do you guys have night lights in your... Dylan, no. I mean, we have the... Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because we have like little twinkle lights that go around, like... Gooch, decorative? Dylan, yeah, so I guess that could have been it. Maybe there was just decorative lights and that's how I saw Xana. I don't know. And we have this little Scentsy thing. I don't know if it was on. We were pretty good at turning it on and off, so it's not like going off through all night, but it does have a light. I don't know if that was on. Gooch, where is the Scentsy light at normally? Where is it located? I'm sorry. Dylan, so from my room, you first walk into the living room. There's like, let's say this is the door to the living room. Right to your left is this bar cart with like some alcohol and like some decorative stuff. Right to your right, there's this little table that has drawers, and that's where the little Scentsy thing is. And then the couch. Why did she explain the bar cart? Why didn't she just say when you walk to the living room to the right is a table with drawers? It's on that. Why did she say when you walk out, you look to your left, there's a bar cart, then you look to your right? Like, she is twacked. Gooch says, would you have been able to see Xana with that light from the living room all the way down the hallway? Dylan, I don't think so. Gooch, this is important. Dylan, I don't think so. Gooch, because in our world, for an offender to leave lights on in a house, you increase the risk of identification. They would rather the lights not be on. So it's important that Dylan interrupts her. Yeah, Gooch, get this straight. Dylan, I think Xana's lights were on. Oh. Gooch, there's no way you could have seen her otherwise, though, correct? Dylan, yeah, I think so. Gooch, yeah, so I'm not trying to plant a seed in your head. Dylan, yeah, I know. Gooch, but think about where you're at when you see her. If all the lights were off, you wouldn't have been able to see her normally. Dylan, well, my twinkle lights, I might be able to. I have no clue. I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't remember. Gooch, no, that's okay. I'm not suggesting. Dylan, yeah. Gooch, you should tell me something you do not know. Oh, she probably meant you shouldn't tell me something you don't know. Dylan, yeah, I don't know if her lights were on or not. I have no clue at all. Gooch, but you could see her. Dylan, I could see her. I know that I could see her. Gooch, and which way is she facing? Which way is her head facing? Dylan, so let's say that couch is the back of her wall. That's where her head is, and her legs are towards forward towards me. Gooch, and then what is she wearing? Dylan, I don't know what shirt. I can just see her wearing underwear, and that was normal. The fact that she keeps saying that was normal means that was not normal. She was really comfortable with us. She would wear just underwear around the house, and that was fine. Gooch, did you call out her name? You know what? Do you guys remember when Travis T. Logic with statement analysis said Dylan mentions doors, door handles, open and closed doors a lot, and that is usually associated with some sort of SA. Why is Dylan hyper focused on Xana in her underwear? And she continues to try and say, "Oh, that's normal. That's normal. It's normal. It's normal. Her underwear, it's normal." I think he's right. I think there is some sort of SA with Dylan or something. Or maybe she's the SAer. I don't know. But she's hyper focused on Xana in her underwear. And it's strange to me. Bianca, Logan, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for all the time, effort, and dedication you put into this community. Your hard work never goes unnoticed. Aw, thank you so much, Bianca. I'm just absolutely obsessed with your picture, by the way. It just grabs my attention every time. Thank you so much, love. I really appreciate that. Yes. Oh my God. I thought that. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. Nah, I think she said lips. I don't know. I do too. Because Dylan is a lunatic. Yes, she is. That's when I said I'm not even gonna say it. I hate to say this, but could she be talking about her private parts, lips? That popped into my head as well. That's why I was like, I'm just not even gonna say it. I think Dylan was struggling with her sexual identity. Bingo. Bingo, bango. And I kind of asked that to Travis, could it be the fact that she's, interested in Kaylee or whatever, that whole thing? Could that be not necessarily a sexual assault, but a sexual, I don't want to say the word issue because it's not like somebody's sexual preference is an issue in any way, but inside her own head, I think she was struggling. I do. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on. Yep. Yep. Gooch says, did you call out her name? Dylan says, no, I don't. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think I did. I thought she was just asleep, so I didn't want to wake her up. And then I like ran down to Bethany's room. First of all, she said she sprinted to Bethany's room. Then she's standing around. She's noticing her lips. She knows what she's wearing. She knows which way she's facing. She thinks the lights are on. That's a lot of time to get all those observations in. Aw, thank you so much, Conspiraling. 5 new Bronxy Tales. 5 new Bronxy Tales. Congrats to our 5 new Bronxy Tales. Thank you so much, Conspiraling. That's so sweet. Knives are associated with the male appendage. That makes sense. But so sweet. So sweet. So sweet. That's a lot of time to be gathering all that information for somebody who claims to be so drunk, right? But here's the thing. She did say she called out Xana's name when Xana was being killed. Remember? She did say she was calling out their names. I don't think she called out her name. I don't think she called out her name when she was sprinting downstairs and she sees Xana. And I don't think she called out her name because she knew she was dead. That's why she didn't call out her name. Not because she didn't want to wake her up, because she knew she wasn't going to get an answer. And then I like ran down to Bethany's room, which tells you when she stops like that and she says, I didn't want to wake up Xana by calling out her name. And then I like ran down to Bethany's room, which means, we know in statement analysis, right? And then means a passage of time. So she spent time looking at Xana. Or this is just what she did after killing Xana. I don't know. That makes more sense to me because, and then I ran down to Bethany. I thought you were sprinting down to Bethany's room. So you stopped long enough with a murderer in your house? A guy dressed in all black? Crazy. Why are you stopping? And then I ran down to Bethany's room. Bethany, she could hear me walking. She could hear me walking. So you're walking. You're not sprinting. You're not running. And that's after you stopped. And you didn't call out Xana's name, but you saw her lips and you saw her with the light on. You would have had to have seen her covered in blood. She had blood covering her face. She could hear me walking down, so she opened the door so I didn't have to wait for her to unlock it. And then I just locked the door. I was like, I don't remember what we talked about at all. I don't know if I have no clue what we talked about. How do you not remember what you talk about? Of course you would talk about, I saw somebody, they were wearing this, they were dressed like this, they looked like this. I think it was a white guy. They went this way. Then I came out and I saw Xana. And no, you wouldn't be talking about that? Or would you not want to talk about it because it was you that did it? Or you and other people? But I think she's part of it. Right, exactly. She said she called on Xana and Kaylee, their names. Now she's saying she didn't call out Xana at all. First, she says, I called out their names like Kaylee, Xana. Then she says, I called them on the phone. Ring, 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 ring. I don't hear any phones ringing ever. So you're trying to tell me that we can hear other people's phones on 1112 camera, but we can't hear 4 phones ringing in 1122, just 50 feet away? If we can hear a whimper and a thud from somebody falling on the floor, we surely could hear their phones ringing. I didn't hear a phone ring. But then says she didn't call out to Xana. Crazy. I have no clue what we talked about. I just remember us being scared a little bit, but like we didn't think anything was wrong at all. We thought, okay, it was just someone passing through. Like maybe we just like the house makes a lot of noises too, because I mean, it's an older house. And so I'd be at night hearing just like, the cracking noises, what houses make when they're older. No. We've all been in crackly houses before. We know that there's a difference between a crackly house and a murderer in your house. Stop it. Do you guys notice how she makes excuses for everything? She's making excuses because she's involved and she needs to make these excuses. A normal person who truly saw a killer in their home dressed in all black and all their roommates are dead and all wouldn't be talking like this. They wouldn't be making excuses. They wouldn't give a shit enough to make an excuse. They'd be more worried that their roommates are deceased and that they're alive, because that would be survivor's remorse like a mug. Gooch says settling, like the house is settling. Dylan, yeah, that would happen quite often. And so we were kind of used to that. We just she just said something about a light in her room, like a firecracker or firework. I don't fully remember. And it just was kind of weird. And I was like, what? I don't remember if I talked to her about the guy. I don't remember if I talked to her about what I saw, what I heard. I have no clue. I just remember we fell asleep pretty fast in her bed. We didn't think anything was wrong at all. And I have to ask you, you were running at first? And at what point did you stop running? And she heard you walk to her room? See, she's on to her. She's on to Dilla the killer. You said at first you were running and you must have felt comfortable at some point. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Busted. Well, I guess I was running. So when I got out, that's weird. It's like she took a shower or something. When I got out. Anyways, I guess I was running. So when I got out, I stopped and I looked at Xana for a second. This is what I think happened. Witty. Why does Dylan never mention Maddie? Never. She doesn't. You're right. Thank you, by the way. I was just about to say shower. Who says when I got out of my room? You would say when I left my room, when I walked out, when I got out. Weird. Well, I guess I was running. So when I got out, I stopped and I looked at Xana for a second. This is what I think happened. Then I ran downstairs. I kept running. I don't think I was walking at all. I think I kept running until I got to her door. I mean, stop. If you're running, what is that? 12 steps? What do you mean running? How much can you really run from your bedroom to Bethany's? You say sprint. I don't even think there's enough room to sprint. Is there? Gooch. So it's important that it's not what you think. It's what you know. Do you, Dylan? I don't know any of this. Bitch. Sorry. Oh, Gooch. Okay. Dylan, I don't know at all. This is all from what I think happened because I can't I don't know what is real and I'm just like, my mind's making it up. So I don't know at all. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Gooch. So of the things we've been writing, are most of it what you believe and you remember happened, or you're thinking that happened? Run, Forrest. Run. She's confused about when she got out of the insane asylum. This girl is insane. Yes, guys, don't forget this weekend we have Pav on the verdict room, and we have a special guest coming on Saturday on BronxTails before the verdict room. So you'll get 2 shows from me on Saturday. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a live marathon, baby. It's going to be really fun. It'll be a fun episode, and then I'll hop onto the verdict room afterwards. Dylan, this is all what I remember, but I don't know if anything of it is real. I don't know. I can't differentiate if anything is real or if anything is a dream. I don't, or just like imagination. I have no clue. And I've been trying to figure that out like the past 2 days. Like, what is Gooch? I bet it's hard. Dylan, what is real? I don't know at all. That's what it's just like. It's frustrating because I'm just like, I want to know and I keep thinking about it, but I can't tell the difference anymore. Like, I don't know it's just all like mixing together, and there's pieces that just don't make sense, and everything of it just doesn't make sense. So none of this I can say I know for sure. None of it I can say I know for a fact that happened, because I don't. Gooch, but you know some things that are factual because you have a timestamp on your phone. Oh, pfft. Womp womp. Hi, good to see you. Yep, she did. Come on, we are grown adults. I could understand if you were truly super drunk and you're like trying to put your memories back together. But I don't care. You know when something is real and when it's not. You know when something actually happened. You can smell things. You can feel things. You can hear things. Our senses. It's sensory. Dylan says, yeah, the stuff on my phone. Yes. That is actual. Gooch. And you know that. Dylan, anything else? No. Gooch, but you remember watching the movie. See, Gooch is I know what you're doing. Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely playing her role. Absolutely. And she's not good at it. And I don't see how these people are buying it. I don't see how they're buying it. Gooch, and you know that. Dylan, anything else? No. Gooch, but you remember watching the movies. Dylan, I remember Gooch eating popcorn. Dylan, before Gooch and stuff. Dylan, before everything, like from when me, Kaylee, Maddie, Bethany were in Kaylee's room, all of that beforehand, I remember that because I remember exactly that. Like all that, I remember. Again, like I don't remember exactly what episode the Vampire Diaries we were watching, but I know it was Vampire Diaries because I remember putting it on. Gooch, you don't remember how Lake got home? You don't remember a time? Here's what's crazy to me. Here's what's crazy of all of this to me. So you remember at 2 a.m. when you're in Kaylee's room, you remember all of that. You remember who was in there, what you guys talked about. You remember a video. You remember that. But wouldn't you be more drunk then than you would be 2 more hours later after you've eaten and slept? So wouldn't you remember less at 2 a.m. and more at 4 a.m.? It would be the exact opposite Dilla the killer. Yeah, everything but what matters. Yeah, Dylan was going to school for psych. Dylan has had psych courses. She's trying to give herself an out. She knows. She knows exactly what she's doing. Oh, I got more drunker. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. I forgot that she took psych. Yes, she did. I'm pretty sure it was a psych paper she was handing in on Saturday, right? No, Dylan doesn't give a crap about anybody but herself, ever. I feel like that's very easy to read now. Dylan doesn't give a about how late got home, and that's as much of a red flag to me as anything else. Never have I ever let a friend walk home alone. Terrible friend. Right. Bianca, thank you so much. We got one more Bronxy Tales. She had an assignment to hand in. Psych or psycho? Both. Oh, most people that study psychology are studying it to address an issue in themselves. Ew, that's kind of creepy. I don't know. I went to school for psych, but I chose that because I was already working at the rehab. So I thought that it would help my career choice. Yep. Yep. And she sure didn't care about Xana laying on the ground. And what pisses me off is she could see her lips. Yes, it was a psych paper. People don't bring that up enough. She thinks she knows how to hit all the trauma buttons. She thinks she knows how to out psych everybody. I mean, technically she did, right? Because she's not in jail, but she's not out psyching any of us. Hmm. I studied psychology too. I have a multitude. Oh, I didn't say I didn't have issues. I just said at the time the reason that I wanted to do psych was because I was already working in that field, but I'm not saying I don't have issues. Oh, that's so funny. You don't remember how late got home? You don't remember a time? Um I don't remember. I think I went to bed before. I think I went to my room before she left. Do you see how she changed that? She was saying I went to bed before Lake left, but then she changed it and said I went to my room because she didn't go to bed. And she tells on herself if you just listen. That I have no clue about. I don't know. When she left, I don't know where she went. Jesus. She didn't text her at least and be like, "Did you get home okay?" What a butthole. I don't know. I think Bethany, someone told me that she walked home. I don't know exactly who. I don't know when Bethany went to her room. I don't know if Bethany stayed on the couch. I have no clue at all. That stuff I don't know about because I think I was in my room before that. No, you don't know because you don't care enough to pay attention to anybody else. That's why you don't know. Gooch, do you think that you opening the door 3 times is part of what you're trying to piece together? Or Dylan, yeah. Gooch, it actually happened. Dylan, I think it's what I'm trying to piece together. I don't know for sure if it fully happened. Oh my Lord. She's actually not good at this. Yay! We got our Bronxy Tales. We got our Bronxy Tales. Oh my God, that's such a good point. Lake walked home alone, a 15-minute walk. Why didn't Dylan call Eric Gower for her? Oh my God, that's so rude. You contact Eric Gower for yourself because you want to go get food for yourself, but you don't reach out to Eric for Lake to go home. What an ass. What an ass. My goodness. Gooch is trying to call her out. It actually happened. Dylan, I think it's what I'm trying to piece together. I don't know for sure if it fully happened. Like, it's just like, I don't know if my mind's like making up stuff. Like at that moment when everything was happening, I don't know if my mind is trying to make stuff up so that I can remember it. Like, I just don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know how to fully explain it, I guess. All right. Here's what it comes down to. When something actually happened, Dylan will say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So her door opening 3 times and her coming out of it and all of that, that absolutely happened. Anything she fights, it happened. So, but I think she came out of her room 3 times. 1, to do the deed upstairs. 2, to do the deed downstairs. And 3, then to clean up and hightail it to Bethany's room like nothing happened. That's what I think the 3-door opening is, because she's trying to cover up the fact that she opened her door 3 times. So it means that her opening her door 3 times was because of something else that she doesn't want the detective to know. Gooch, well, that's important for the detective sergeant and myself, is that you're not telling us something that's not true. Dylan, yeah, I know. Gooch, that's the most important thing here. Dylan, yeah. All right, we're going to stop it there. We're on page 92. Let me write it down. Down. And we'll pick up on Wednesday where we left off. And then we'll dig into some frat stuff on Wednesday as well. All right. Let me remove this. And then. All right, guys. Bronx's buddy of the day is Mr. Brody. Brody is a pity baby. We love our pity babies. Brody is 13 years old. Aw. This is Jenny's baby. Jenny S. Where is she at? She's still in here? Jenny, are you in here? Jenny. All right, Jenny. Here's your little baby. There she is. Aw. This is Jenny's baby. This is Brody. And I love the way you spelled his name too. I love that. I knew it was Brody. You didn't have to tell me. Look we have King Brody. King Brody's in the house. So sweet. He is 100% good boy. Look at that face. Aw, I just want to snuggle him. Aw. So sweet, so handsome, loyal, strong, handsome, good boy. Him's a good boy and we love him. Thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing him with us. I love him. Aw, he's so cute. This is Bronx's buddy of the day. Say hi to Brody. And this is Jenny's baby. All right, guys. Thank you, Exotic. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will pick up on Wednesday. Thank you to everybody who gifted and donated tonight. It's so helpful. Wait, before I let you go, let me just check really quick to see if we have any new documents. Not yet. Okay. Not yet. I'm going to assume they should be here tomorrow or the next day. So we'll have them by Wednesday. I'm specifically waiting on the black K-bar knife that was found. I'm specifically waiting on those and a couple of other things. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your Brodies and Bronxies and Geos and Brickies, all your fur babies. Have a wonderful evening, guys. We will see you on Wednesday.
Yeah. 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 Bronx on the scene, nose to the ground, reads every scratch, every step, every sound. Dust on the boot, mud on the cuff, one wrong move and he calls you bluff. He found a lie in the turn of a face, found a fresh print in an empty place. Tell up high when the story won't blend, he don't bark loud, he just gets close. Damn, sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, BronxTails, chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, BronxTails, corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. Hey, hey. Idaho nights cold, over the floor, 4 names heavy in the whole town. So Bronx in the weeds where the silence stayed, digging for proof in the tracks it made. He found the gap in the masked up tail, found the bent clue in the buried trail. Bone white truth in the folder stack, one clean set and the case swings back. Sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, BronxTails, chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, BronxTails, corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. One paw print, one torn thread, one false alibi, falls dead. Chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, BronxTails, corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose.